Simeon, I'm 34 and I'm gay. I think we're moving into a part of where there is a generation of people that still feel that maybe being black and gay or of colour and gay is wrong and a sin and against the values of being black. There doesn't seem to be a middle ground for me. You know, it's kind of, there are those that are really strongly against it, and then right behind them there are those that are, I really don't care. I really don't care whether you are black, white, purple, pink, gay, straight, whatever. I kind of feel my generation is probably the last generation, so I'm in my mid-30s, and I kind of feel like my generation is the last generation of where it was a taboo when you were 16, 17, 18 to be gay and to kind of come out as being gay. And my partner, who is only 7 years younger than me, for them it was a very, very different experience. People in his school knew he was gay, his friends knew he was gay, people accepted it, didn't really have any problems when he was at school. And me thinking about coming out in school back in the late 90s, for me was an absolute no, like you would never dream of it. So I think from that aspect there's positive steps moving forward. I think what we need to focus on as a community is there's much more to fight for at the moment. There's other things, there are more important things to fight for, or to combat or fight against, rather than homosexuality. That's the least of our problems. There are many different things that are affecting not only the black man or the black woman or the black people as a race, but also humankind. And I think before maybe 10 years ago, we didn't have the problems that I kind of guess we face now. Racism seems to be rearing its head more strongly now, more recently with Brexit, and then obviously with Trump coming into power, and it seems like it's kind of giving power to those people who do still hold racist values to kind of come out with those. And then there's, terror as in terms of ISIS and all those sorts of things. So there's much more that we have to fight. And I guess, coming out now and saying, hey, I'm black and gay, I guess people are like, and so what? There's other stuff to contend with and to crack on with. So I think in some ways it's positive when you're coming out as being a man of colour and being gay. But then also it's kind of, I do wonder whether actually as a community we've genuinely accepted it, or whether it's just we're focusing on something else right now. Yeah, it's great you're gay, stay there, we'll come back to you another day and we'll pick that issue up another time, but right now we're kind of focusing on police people beating up our black people or whatever the world is kind of facing right now. When I was younger, I was bigger than what I am now, and I guess that kind of had an influence on my early years, especially being gay and of a bigger size. At that period of time, I think everyone was more going for either the twink look or the muscled look. There wasn't really it wasn't known as a bear scene or anything like that at that particular time, and it used to stress me out, and I was always consciously aware about my weight, and then that also made me bit of a recluse. But I guess now I understand that there is somebody out there for everybody. And now that I'm older, I definitely see that there is a sort of market, maybe to say, for everybody, and as long as you're true to yourself and you're happy, then everything will work out absolutely fine. So if I could talk to myself, I'd probably just say, it'll get better. I didn't really come out to my family. My brother forced me out of the closet, but I think he was heisted to do it by my mum. I think my mum always knew I was gay. I had a really close friend from school who had came out as gay before me, and he was already out for 6 to 9 months before I came out, and we were really close. And we started going to the gay village in Manchester because that's where I grew up. And I would never kept any secrets, so I'd always say I'm going to the gay village, but I guess, in my naivety, I was saying, I'm supporting my friend rather than I'm going to the gay village with my friend because I'm gay as well. So what I now know is that my brother came to see me, visit me from London. My mum had a word with him and asked him to kind of have a word with me. And one day, whilst we was out driving, I stopped at the petrol station, and whilst I was paying for the petrol, my brother went through my mobile phone, found messages from my then partner, and when he came back, he didn't make a secret of it. He still had his phone. I had my phone in his hands. So I was just like, well, no, So when I went home, I decided to tell my mum. So I had the conversation and said I wanted to tell her. So we sat around the table, and I'd introduced my then boyfriend to my mum, but as a friend. And let's just say for the sake of this video, his name was Mark. So I said to Mum, Mark, he's not my friend. And by that which point my mum thought we'd fallen out. So my mum said, why is he not your friend? What have you fallen out about? So I said, no, we've not fallen out. He's not my friend. He's my partner. And I'll never forget, she was smoking a cigarette. She flicked the ash. And then she went, okay. So I said, is that it? And she said, yeah, I've always known. I was like, oh, here's me thinking that you was gonna, I don't know, be nasty, shout at me, slap me across the face, etc., etc. And she flicked her ash again, and she got up off the chair, and she walked around, and she slapped me across the face, and she said, you dirty, dirty bastard. And then went, are you happy now? And I said, we just both started laughing. And that was me coming out to my mum. I did say to her, don't tell the rest of the family, let me wait a little while and I'll tell them. And she said, why don't you invite Mark around for his tea tonight? So I said, okay. So I went to go and pick Mark up from work and said, told my mum, told him the news and that she wanted us to come round for tea, or otherwise for a southerner known as dinner. And he was like, okay, a little bit nervous, but okay. So we went back to my mother's house later that day, and every single car that belongs to every single member of my family was parked right outside the house. So we opened the door, walked in, and it was almost like the proverbial, the record stopped, made that little scratching noise. There was music playing, but God's honest truth, the music stopped. And everybody just looked at me. And my sister, who's a year older than me, says, so, you're gay now? And I was like, yeah. She went, alright. And then I had two older stepbrothers who were not so accepting of the idea and kind of took the piss a little bit. And I remember my mum saying, he's still the same person that he was the last time you saw him. He hasn't grown another head. He hasn't murdered anybody. He's still exactly the same person. He's just, now you know a little bit more about him. Get over yourselves. And that was it. Ever since then, me and my friend who I told you about earlier on, we got our mothers together, we took them out into Manchester, took them to the gay village. We thought that, you know, it was going to be a baptism of fire for them. They were going to be walking around clutching their pearls and kind of like, oh, what's going on here? In the end, it turned out that them two got absolutely smashed. They were all over the trannies in Manchester, and it was me and my best friend that was picking them up out of the gutter and taking them home. They had a whale of a time.